Every choice you make has a price, and it's not always money. It could be your time, your energy, your peace of mind, or even the opportunities you give up without realizing it. Some people choose a high-paying job with long hours at the expense of their sanity and their family life. Others skimp out on important appliances to save $1, only to have that appliance break down and they have to buy another one. A big one that I see a lot of young people make is that they chase short-term gratification in various forms without considering the effect that this could have in the future. My name is Oscar Katina and I'm a 20-year-old entrepreneur from Australia. The life we lead is a culmination of decisions, some big, some small, all of which shape who we are. Not every decision is a massive one though. Obviously, starting a business is a much bigger decision than deciding how many tomatoes you're going to buy from the supermarket. But even the small ones add up, which is why it's important that we don't make them aimlessly. This comes down to processing, a concept which Patrick Bet-David highlights in his award-winning book, Your Next 5 Moves. Processing, as he explains, is central to effective decision making. And I agree. The better you process, the better your decisions and the better your life. Plenty of times over the journey I've been faced with a decision, and due to factors like emotional state, amongst other things, you don't make those decisions and process effectively. In the early days, it was usually money related. I'm hungry, so I'll get a burger instead of making a healthy meal for myself. In the last year or so though, I've become a bit better at processing and I understand myself better. So when faced with a decision like, should I get up in the morning to go to the gym? I know what my aims are and the decision becomes easy. I've also learned that there's more to decisions than just looking at a dollar value. But here's the catch. If you don't have clarity, even the best processing won't save you. I made a full video on clarity last month if you'd like to go deeper. But in short, knowing yourself and your vision gives you a compass and a waypoint for life. With that compass, you can line up your daily decisions, big or small, with your bigger picture. An example of when clarity has helped me with a big decision was deciding if I wanted to start my business or if I wanted to go and do a working holiday in Europe. I knew I'd probably have more fun, but my long-term vision kept coming back to me. Europe wasn't going to go anywhere, and if I worked hard enough, I'd be able to go to Europe for a proper holiday instead of just going over there to work. So, started my business. By the way, if you're finding this video helpful, consider dropping a like and subscribing to support the channel. Now, once you have that clarity that I talked about, you'll begin to see that every decision has extra costs aside from money. Not just financial costs, but also physical and mental, and opportunity costs, which is probably the biggest one. Let's use the example of starting a business. Depending on the type of business you start, you'll likely have a significant financial outlay in the beginning of a couple $1,000s at a minimum. The mental cost is that your new business is going to become like a child to you. It's going to demand attention from you all the time, and it's going to cause you a lot of stress in its early years. The physical cost might be some bags under your eyes, or if it's a physical type of business like building, there'll certainly be some stress on the body. Then we get to the opportunity cost, which is what people usually use to justify starting a business in spite of the other three costs. The potential rewards that could be gained by starting a business, like working whenever you want, financial freedom, freedom of location, and potentially the ability to retire early, are all potential opportunities when you start a business. So to process the decision, you would consider the financial outlay in the beginning, the mental stress, and potentially the physical stress if that's in your industry as well, and determine if it's worth that in exchange for the potential opportunity costs, which aren't guaranteed either. This is the thought process that goes behind such a big decision. And the hardest thing about it is you won't know if you're wrong until months or years later. It's important to consider all the options, both positive and negative, before you make a decision, because if you decide to leave one out because you don't like the answer, it could be a deadly mistake. But what about a smaller decision? Let's say choosing between getting takeaway food or cooking yourself. The financial cost would change for this depending on what you eat, but let's take a zinger box from KFC, which starts at about $15. If you wanted to get a nice cut of meat and put some salad on the side with it, you're probably looking at about $30 to $35. But what are the mental and physical costs? There might not be too many mental costs, maybe you might feel a little bit guilty, but the physical costs are certainly there, as stacking up zinger boxes every night over time is going to have pretty detrimental impact on your body. However, eating a healthy cut of meat with some salad will have much better effects on your body. And what about the opportunity cost? Well, I might be reaching here, but you might find a newfound passion for cooking if it's your first time that you turn into a side hustle. Someone without clarity and a vision will probably choose the takeaway option just because it's convenient and easy. And they'd probably avoid starting a business as well. Again, because it's convenient and easy to just work a normal job. But what about a person who has sat down and really aligned their vision? They'll probably choose a healthier meal if fitness is big in their vision, and starting a business might be the only way to achieve their financial goals. So they might opt for that option as well. So what are some questions you can ask yourself when you're faced with a choice? How will this affect my peace of mind? How will it impact my health? Will it drain my energy or my motivation? And the most important one, in my opinion, what will it cost me if I don't do it? Sometimes you'll have to decide quickly. Other times you'll have a bit of room to reflect. Sometimes you'll decide alone, other times with advice from trusted confidants. There are so many moving parts, but in all cases, it's helped me to keep my vision in mind as the main guide. I used to weigh money above everything else, but now, while money still matters, it's not the first filter. Instead, I ask, will this bring me closer to my goals, or what's the price of not doing it? I'm lucky to have mentors that I can turn to, but even with guidance, I've found that gut instinct plays a big role. Mothers are known for having mother's instinct, but I think we all have a little bit of that to a certain degree, because in the end, nobody knows you like you. I'd love to advise what is better out of the two, going with your gut or seeking exterior feedback from family or friends. But to be honest, I don't know if there is a right answer. Some decisions will require external advice, others won't. In my experience, it helps to have 2 or 3 perspectives on an issue, but they can't be people with similar temperaments. If you ask 2 people who always play it safe if you should start a business, they'll both tell you it's too risky and not a good idea. Ask 2 people who actually started a business and they'll tell you to absolutely take the leap. Ideally, you want one of each because they'll both have their reasons, and you'll likely find a few points from each side to be insightful and helpful. And then it's good to have a third person of another sort of temperament who can be the denominator there and help you come to a final decision. Now it's time for some actionable steps. If you've watched my other videos, then you won't need me to tell you that self-reflection to gain clarity is absolutely critical. But in case you haven't watched my other videos, know yourself, reflect, ask questions, get to know the real you. After you've done this, the first actionable step is to consciously ask yourself those questions about costs when you make a decision. What's the financial cost? What are the mental, physical costs? And what is the opportunity cost of you not doing something? If you ask these questions and the answers don't quite align with your vision, then maybe it's not the best decision to make. If the answers do align with your vision, then maybe it is. The second actionable step is to get some good voices and opinions around you from people that you trust. I've spoken a lot about mentors, but family members work for this as well. You need to trust them, and it would be ideal if they had different temperaments, like I explained, so you can get different perspectives on the same issue before you make a decision. The truth is, every decision you make has a cost, whether you see it or not. The real skill is learning how to process those choices and make decisions that align with your long-term vision. If this video gave you something to think about, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one decision that you made recently where the cost wasn't money, but something else, like time, energy, or peace of mind? And if you're on the journey of building yourself and your business, just like I am, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Every 2 weeks, I drop new videos on mindset, entrepreneurship, and the lessons that I'm learning along the way in my business journey. Remember, money matters, but your real wealth comes from making decisions that align with your long-term vision. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.